here with us, and I'm really thankful and glad that she is here to enlighten all the students and the others who are joining our webinar, to enlighten them for the cardiorespiratory rehabilitation, which is very crucial part of any physiotherapy students to learn. And we are really glad that you are here to share your valuable knowledge, because with this time, with this years of huge years of experience, I'm sure they would be learning valuable things from you to be implemented in their patients. So uh, first of all, I would definitely formally welcome her. So Dr. Soumi Sinha, she's a master's of physiotherapy in cardiorespiratory and intensive care. She is passed out in her BPT in 1995 from NIOH, which is a very reputed institution of India, and she has done her master's from MGR University in 2002. She's working presently. She's working as a professor and head of the department in cardiorespiratory diseases at Ravi Nair Physiotherapy College, Datta Mage Institute of Medical Sciences, Wardha, Maharashtra. She has worked at various physiotherapy institutions as a head and as a professor. She is having a wide experience of 22 years, and this her rich experience is going to be helpful to you in next 1 hour. She has delivered number of seminars and expert talks on topic of intensive care therapy, pelvic floor fitness, role of physiotherapy in healthcare delivery, and virtual therapy, and so on at national and regional level. She has organized and conducted many workshops in many areas of cardiorespiratory rehabilitations. She has published various articles and has contributed as an author in 4 books of physiotherapy. And she's a coordinator of WDC IAP cell. And this is we are very fortunate enough to have you, ma'am, here, and looking forward to have a very interactive session for next 1 hour. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, madam. I thank you all wholeheartedly, the Faculty of Physiotherapy, Parole University, for giving me this opportunity to present the webinar, to interact with students and professionals of physiotherapy. And particularly, I think those who are attending today's webinar, they belong to the cardiorespiratory specialty. So it is a pleasure. This is something I really, really love to do, teaching and giving talks on this particular subject. So I thank you all once again. So let me start then. Shall I start?
Yes,
Yes, ma'am,
yes.
please.
Okay. Just a second. All right, I think the screen is visible to you all.
Yes, ma'am.
It's not visible to me. Anyway, let me try once again.
Yes, ma'am, please. Yes, ma'am, now it is visible.
But it is not visible to me.
Shruti ma'am, you can guide ma'am for how to share, because there are 2 options. Na? She can share her whole screen and she can share only her presentation.
Yes, ma'am.
Madam, now you can directly go to your PPT, minimizing this meet from the control panel.
Okay. First, I have to stop the
Yes.
sharing.
No, don't stop share.
Okay, I have stopped it now. So what I have to do, I have to
Yes.
minimize.
Nee, ma'am, share it first.
Okay, that I have done now.
Let's see. Once your sharing is there, we'll tell you.
Now the PPT is visible to me. Is it
Yeah,
visible to you all?
yeah, we are also able to see it, ma'am.
Ma'am,
But what
yes,
happens?
ma'am, it is visible.
But what happens that when I go to slide share mode, it sort of disappears. Now it is okay. Now I can see. Okay, right. So I hope it is visible at your end also.
Yeah, yeah, ma'am.
Okay, okay, then let us start. So today I'm going to deliver a talk on managing COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, with telehealth. Telehealth is something that has been there around for some time. It is not a very old concept, not a very new concept also. But during the recent times, due to the COVID pandemic, it has come to forefront much more than ever before. So I have chosen this topic because considering today's scenario, the patient care delivery is affected because of the pandemic. And considering this, I felt that this is an option that we should be seriously looking into. So that is the reason why I chose this topic, that is managing COPD with telehealth. So today we are going to look into various aspects of telehealth for COPD. And the question that we are going to mull over is whether telehealth for COPD management is an under-recognized management strategy. It is there for us to utilize, but are we utilizing it to the fullest extent? So I, myself, Dr. Swami Sinha, Professor and Head, Department of Cardiorespiratory Diseases, Ravi Nair Physiotherapy College, Datta Meghe Institute of Medical Sciences, deemed to be University, Wardha, Maharashtra. And I'm also the Director, School of Rehabilitative Sciences in Datta Meghe University of Medical Sciences, deemed to be University, Wardha, Maharashtra. So from myself, it is a big welcome to all the participants. I welcome you all to this webinar. In this webinar, I will discuss about the need, the evidence, the equipments, the legal angle, and the economic considerations of managing COPD patients by telehealth. So let us begin. Let us look into this. Telehealth, the need of the hour. As I said, that telehealth, the concept of telemedicine, or telerehabilitation, or telephysiotherapy, whatever you call it, this concept has been there around for a decade or so. People have been thinking about this concept. I saw some articles way back in 2013 or so, and maybe some articles are even older. So I can make out that this concept is there for around for some time, but now because of this COVID-19 pandemic, we sort of actually need this. We very much need this. So telehealth, is it the need of the hour? Growing incidence of age, lifestyle diseases, and cost of chronic and non-communicable diseases such as cancer, cardiovascular, and respiratory diseases have put a high cost burden on the healthcare system. The need to increase citizen welfare and to limit healthcare costs has developed telemedicine services. The unique challenge that is posed by COVID-19 has placed exceptional demand on healthcare system. Now, social distancing is a new norm, and traveling is restricted to prevent spread of the virus. So the need of the hour demands that healthcare providers rethink how they deliver care in ways that reduce the spread of the infection. In the current scenario of COVID-19 pandemic, telehealth is emerging as a key technology for efficient communication and sustainable solution to provide essential healthcare services. So why telehealth? Why are we considering telehealth? Telemedicine or telehealth is the distribution of health services in conditions where distance is a critical factor by healthcare providers using information and communication technology to exchange information useful for diagnosis. It is a viable option for monitoring and treatment of patients residing in remotely rural areas. It can be an efficient, cost-effective alternative to traditional healthcare delivery to improve patients' quality of life as well as satisfaction. It can be an efficient, cost-effective alternative to traditional healthcare, as I said. And in recent years, we have witnessed a growing interest in the use of technology to help patients with chronic conditions like COPD. Patients would like to manage their conditions from their home settings instead of going to a hospital, particularly if they are residing in far-off places or remote areas or rural areas. They would like to manage the condition from their home, if that is possible. So we have seen a shift from traditional hospital setting to home setting. Recent advances in sensor technology and GPS have made intermittent measurement processes for continuous monitoring feasible for all health conditions, not only for COPD, it is applicable for all health conditions. Information and communication technology for healthcare promise increasing efficiency and improvement of patients' health-related quality of life. So, therefore, in line with many guidelines and recommendations and best practices for management of patients during the pandemic, telehealth should be considered wherever possible. So earlier considerations might have been distance, but nowadays, along with that, the social distancing has generated the need for telehealth or telemedicine or telerehab much more than ever before. Now let us look into the prevalence of COPD. I think it is one of the most commonest respiratory conditions worldwide, not only in India, but worldwide. COPD and other chronic respiratory diseases are increasing in India as well as worldwide. In India, it is estimated to have 30 million COPD patients, which is about 20% of the global COPD population at present. And we have an incidence of 64.7 deaths per 1 lakh deaths caused due to all causes combined. COPD is projected to be the third largest non-communicable disease causing mortality in 2030 by the World Health Organization. So from this, we can understand what is the magnitude of prevalence of COPD in the worldwide. That the World Health Organization has predicted that it will be the third largest cause of mortality as far as non-communicable diseases are concerned. I hope my voice is audible and I have not lost the network.
Yes, ma'am, you are audible clearly.
Okay, because sometimes we have.
Ma'am, it's a request. Ma'am, please switch on your camera also.
Okay, I have to switch on the camera. Okay,
Yeah,
but for that, I think once again, the option is not coming. I think once again, I have to stop share, go back and start my camera. Just a second, I'll do that.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
So now again, I think everything is visible to you all.
Yes, ma'am. Perfect. Perfect.
Okay. So now let me pick up from where I left. The need. What is the need for telehealth or telerehabilitation or telephysiotherapy, whatever we might like to call it? Traditional rehabilitation system of inpatient hospital-based pulmonary rehabilitation is the first line of management strategy of COPD. That we know very well. COPD comes to us in an inpatient hospital-based setting, and we assess, monitor, and we suggest treatments, and we devise a pulmonary rehab plan. So that is the traditional way of doing things. About 8 to 50% of those referred to hospital-based pulmonary rehabilitation programs never attend the program. It is estimated, as per studies, about 8 to 50% of those referred to hospital-based settings, they never attend the program, while about 10 to 32% of the people who commence the program do not complete it. The reasons for this, there are several barriers. Barriers to hospital or traditional pulmonary rehabs attendance might include day-to-day variations of their conditions, exacerbations on certain times or certain times of the year. They will have acute exacerbations and they will be unable to continue with their home-based pulmonary rehab. Hospital admissions, they have to deal with all this process that they would like to avoid perhaps. Then problems with transportation, lack of support, be it in form of support from caregivers, or be it in form of support, in form of financial support, etc. And then follow-up programs. Many patients, or most of them probably, do not turn up for a proper follow-up. That is even I have experienced this. So all these act as barriers to giving pulmonary rehab program or exercise program or treatment in a hospital-based setting. So if we can remove these barriers, telehealth can be a very nice or viable option, and many patients would actually like it, particularly where distance is a factor. The coronavirus pandemic reduced the number of hospital visits and consultation by the patients that we have all experienced across the branches, across the specialties. Continuity and adherence to treatment is crucial to long-term management of COPD. Therefore, there is a need to develop a feasible rehab program for the long-term management of COPD that could be administered from a distance. Now, COPD is a condition that we all know needs long-term management. It's a chronic condition. So long-term management is required. So what a better solution could be if it could be given from the home setting of the patient. What does recent literature say about this? Telerehab is as effective as supervised inpatient hospital-based programs for COPD. There are so many, a plethora of studies that have examined into this, that have compared the effects of telerehab or telephysiotherapy or telehealth, and they have compared the effects with the effects of treatment given in a hospital-based setting. And they have found that it is as effective as a supervised inpatient hospital-based programs. The ease of caregiver burden, the cost involved, compliance, exercise progression, homely environment, ease of transportation, and expertise in physical activity monitoring and counseling are the strengths of the telerehabilitation. So these are the points where telehealth or telerehab or telephysio actually scores over the traditional hospital-based settings. From the studies, it appears to be well established in Western countries, but it is still in infancy in India. In Western countries, the concept seems to be much more developed. Their way of giving it is much more evolved than what we are doing in India right now. So from that, we can conclude that probably in India, it is still in infancy stage, and we need to explore the possibilities. It's a huge area to be explored, and we need to look into it seriously. Now let us go into the operational aspect. If you want to give COPD management by means of telehealth or telerehab, how does it work? How it works? So telehealth network components, what do we require? We require a patient workstation at the patient's end. We require a rehab therapist workstation at the rehab therapist's end. And we require an internet connection, internet speed of at least 8 Mbps per second for streamlining the video conferencing. A good internet speed is required. So a workstation on the patient's end with a laptop, maybe, or an iPad or a computer or desktop, whatever is available, with a webcam, and an internet connection is required at the patient's end. Same is required at the rehab therapist's end. And then first and last but not the least is actually the internet, availability of internet services. Instrumentation and working. The instrumentation might include real-time video conferencing, global positioning system or GPS built with devices like accelerometers and pedometers, or we can use virtual imagery techniques to provide the step count, physical activity, and energy expenditure of the COPD patients. There should be real-time monitoring of dyspnea, talk test, walk distance, physical activity quantification, energy expenditure, adverse events such as falls, chest pain, or leg fatigue, and measurement of functional capacity. We should be able to do all these using real-time monitoring devices. Now this, I have demonstrated a picture here. Now here, this picture shows the devices that are required both at the therapist end and at the patient's end. So here, this is the patient side, and you can see that the patient is running on a motorized treadmill, and there is real-time measurement of HR and SpO2, and this is fed to the transmitter. And the patient is being directly monitored real-time by the therapist, who is using a teleconferencing kit. A teleconferencing kit will be required at both ends, the patient side as well as at the therapist side. So she is using this teleconferencing kit to monitor the patient real-time. So all that she requires is a computer setup with a webcam. And here, the patient is exercising on a treadmill, and her heart rate and SpO2 is being monitored. And this data is getting transmitted to the cloud. Through a transmitter, the data is transmitted to the cloud. And this is now accessible by the therapist. On the other side, this is the therapist or the physician side. We can see there might be a single therapist, or there might be an interdisciplinary team of physicians, therapists, and exercise specialist monitors who monitor the progress in real time with objective measures of SpO2 and HR that is available from the cloud. So they also have a telemedicine interface with them with a web camera. So similar type of setting is required. On the patient side, additionally, the exercise equipments will be required. Now, if we have to design the program, how do we design it? We have known what are the basic equipments and instrumentation that is required. Now, the major part is actually designing the program. So how to design a program for a COPD patients? Many models are available. Let me discuss one of them. The simulated supervised pulmonary telehealth program will consist of monitoring of these components. First, intensity of exercise, SpO2, heart rate, and blood pressure. Adverse event observed promptly should be observed promptly, and exercise and pharmacological counseling should be given promptly. So while monitoring and while the patient is exercising, we need to do intensive monitoring, and we need to be very cautious about development of adverse events. By that, what do we mean? Maybe development of angina or leg cramps or any other event that might actually warrant stopping of the exercise. So we need to be cautiously looking into development of those events, and if in case they develop, we need to give prompt advice regarding exercise or pharmacological management. Like we can say that now you have to stop the exercise, you may sit or you may rest immediately, you may lie down, and you may take a nitrate if that is available, or you may take some other drug that needs to be delivered at that time. So these type of monitoring and advice should be given to the patient. Then exercise adherence shall be monitored through number of sessions attended, duration, intensity, and frequency of exercise sessions. So these are the basic monitoring that could be done from distance. If we are at a distance from the patient, we can still do these type of monitoring. The exercise training should be transferred to real life. So whatever training that is being given, as we do in our lab setup, the same thing should be done here also, here as well. Whatever exercise training is given, it should be transferred to real life, like while performing ADL or during workplace, or when the patient is working at his workplace or during industrial activities. So in real life setting, it should be transferred. At the end of the supervised tele-rehab program, vocational and functional training should be transferred to real-time household, functional, and occupational activities. So whatever is being taught, that needs to be transferred to real-life settings. Disease-specific education and self-management training according to international guidelines should be done. So we need to be very careful that whatever education and self-management training is being given to the patient, that should be according to international guidelines. To standardize information, participants must receive self-management education resources from the hospital in the form of a printed book or brochure. This is very, very desirable, so that our treatment methods and information regarding that is standardized. It does not vary from patient to patient or therapist to therapist. We need to develop a booklet or a brochure regarding this, and the same has to be circulated to all patients who are admitted for telehealth or tele-rehab programs. Self-management education for all patients to include long-term exercise planning and education regarding identifying and managing an acute exacerbation should be included. And airway clearance techniques and strategies for maintaining a healthy diet should be addressed. So all these can be taught by suitable methods. Maybe we can use videos, maybe we can use booklets, and then we can follow it up by demonstration from the therapist. All could be done real time, face to face. When we show, we can ask the patient to do along with us, and we can simultaneously monitor whether the patient is doing it in a correct manner. Supervised telerehabilitation at home may be conducted for say 2 to 3 times a week for about 8 to 12 weeks. In general, we select programs of this long duration, say 8 to 12 weeks of duration, in groups of 4 to 6 participants at a time. The group should not be too large so that monitoring is possible. So in a group of 4 to 6 participants, it should be done, and it should be supervised by an experienced physiotherapist. Exercise training may comprise of 30 minutes of lower limb aerobic training and individualized strength training exercises. Patient may undertake 30 minutes of cycle training in 2 or more bouts in each session. Cycle ergometer intensity for patients